Oh.
here, so
Oh.
don't worry about it. Me.
Okay. Okay. Well, I got. If you want to watch, I got pretty pictures and lots of words, so we can always read it. I'm waiting for Steve.
It's not late usually.
No. I don't want to. He's coming. Just don't say anything. It'll embarrass him. We'll just not say anything.
Oh, we can't all stand up.
No, it'll just embarrass him. He'll turn around and leave. I'm very nervous that you guys are here.
Mum's the word. Don't be nervous for me.
We just love you, so we just want to support you.
And besides that, you're doing cool classes.
Thank you. All right. We're going to talk. We're going to start. Supposedly, I shortened my presentation, so hopefully you guys will be done in an hour. So, migrating birds employ skills that are beyond human abilities. And at least 40% of bird species migrate in some form. And it's about the journey, not the destination. So, as I was saying earlier, we have spent, since we discovered that birds migrated, actually trying to figure out how they do it. So I'm going to present to you guys what we're doing to try and figure out and how we think they're doing it. Because, we don't talk birds, so we don't really know. All right. So first we need to figure out how, we need to answer the why. So everything in nature is tied to the driving forces of the need to feed and the need to breed. Migration is nature's way for birds to take advantage of new opportunities, prime nesting areas, or abundant food. In the costs of migrating were more than if the cost of migrating were more than the migration, they wouldn't do it. So there is a payoff. The when. Avian migration evolved over millions of years. So think back to the Ice Age and imagine there's thousands of birds living below the equator where it has most supposedly thawed first. And they're all like going, oh my God, it's crowded. There's like 100 birds in this one tree. And they just have the sense to move north. And as those areas, like in North America, are opening up, or Central America are opening up, they're moving that way. And so it has just evolved to go from Brazil to Vermont. And they have just been doing it for that long because it's worked. When it stops working, they'll stop doing it. Hopefully before we lose them, because as researchers will tell you, they would rather lose the migration than lose the bird. So how? Well, what do we do before we go on a road trip? We make sure that we're well fed. We've gone to it's a day trip. We've gone to the restroom so we don't have to stop right away. We make sure that we've got maybe all our medications, we're healthy, and we make sure we have our GPS or our map so we know where we're going, or we have a plan of a destination. So birds do the same thing. So they fuel up, and we don't even have time to talk about how they do that, how they change their metabolism and their heart rate to put on fat in a short period of time so that they have the fat stores to make the travel. They use external and internal cues, hormone responses. They use learned behavior, which always makes me laugh because my parents were terrible navigators. They couldn't we went around the block when we were going to the neighbor's house. So especially my mom, when she learned to drive when she was 36, we made more U-turns and saw more parking lots and more I don't know, places we hadn't seen before because she always thought she knew where she was going, but no. So, but they do learn, some of the migration is learned, and that's in waterfowl for the most part. So, and I laugh even more because it's the mom, because they fly in family groups from from breeding areas down to wintering areas. And mom leads the way, and they use landmarks. Well, my mom would use landmarks, but sometimes they were mobile, like, oh, the blue van on the side of the, on the side of the road. Well, if someone moved the blue van, she wouldn't know where to turn. So they learn, they use magnetic sensitivity compass, internal clock, and navigate by the moon, the stars, and the sun. So making sense of what we know. So external cues, that's the change in daylight. The days are getting longer, nights are getting shorter, or vice versa. The availability of food and changes in the weather. They are very, very attuned to weather changes. Internal cues are the genetic aspects, so some of the drive to, in some birds, the drive to migrate is strictly DNA, like hummingbirds. Hummingbirds just know where they're supposed to go. It's in their DNA. Not all birds know that, but hummingbirds is an example of one that has it in them. Hormones push birds, missed a word, sorry, to fly either north or south. When the hormones surge, slows, or stops is when the bird stops moving, whether it's going south or north. So the hormones surge it to go, and as they peter off, they stop, supposedly where they're supposed to be. Birds such as sandhill cranes, whooping cranes, swans, geese, ducks, all learn their migration routes following their parents. So imagine if you're up in Alaska and you're a baby sandhill crane and you're flying to, I don't know, Arizona, whitewater draw there, okay? You've never done it before. You're going to do it. You're going to follow mom. Mom does it right. No U-turns. You're there. You're going to take that same route that your mom flew back. You've got it in your imprinted in your brain. So they're going to fly back on their own. I just find that amazing because I can't do that. I can't sometimes get myself out of the grocery store in a reasonable amount of time navigating all the different, stuff they put in your way. Birds use landmarks, follow waterways, mountain ranges to help guide them. So think about that if they're using landmarks, and let's say they're using a waterway and the water changes from the time that they've been wintering down here, like there's been a drought and that waterway isn't visible to them anymore. It's not there. The river's dried up. So it makes it harder. It presents challenges for them. They kind of have to trust themselves, or they're going to have to look for some other cue. So eternal clock helps birds to know what time of day or night it is and the season. So birds use stars as tools to guide them, the position of the moon or the sun. And this is becoming a problem because of lights. They're noticing that birds who migrate are having a challenge picking out the stars because the cities have lights, too many lights, and it's a distraction, which is why some cities go dark. So here's some incredible migration journeys. So the Arctic tern flies 55,000 miles per year, pole to pole. This ensures the bird experiences 2 summers per year. It obviously doesn't want to touch snow in any way, shape, or form. So, the bar-tailed godwit holds the record for the longest non-stop flight, with an individuals flying over 8,425 miles from Alaska to Tasmania, Australia, over the Pacific Ocean without resting. The common swift is known for the longest uninterrupted flight, staying airborne for up to 10 months straight. It's not a North American bird, although we have the chimney swift here. It's Europe and Asia. So it breeds 2 months, finds its little rocks and crevices because it doesn't breed in the chimney, it's not a chimney swift. And the rocks and crevices there, or it uses old ruins that they have in Europe. And it doesn't even really have legs because legs create draft. So it kind of crawls. So it's very vulnerable when it's on the ground. It raises its babies and then it's in the air. That's just amazing to me. So your Arctic tern is the white and black one up there at the top. This is the godwit, the bar-tailed godwit, and that is your common swift. So, okay, we're gonna go through some history really fast, but it's important and it's exciting at the same time. So, history highlights of the discovery of bird migration. So, in 1822, German villagers discovered a white stork impaled by a spear made of African wood. It's the first evidence of migration between continents. They didn't think that. They thought birds were wherever they were. Actually, they thought some birds, they hibernated because they didn't see them. Or they died and then they magically came back. This is the first physical evidence of migration. In 1896, first recorded vocalizations of migratory birds by night. 1899, bird banding started. 1920, the Migratory Bird Treaty Act passes and banding of waterfowl, because the Migratory Bird Treaty Act started to protect the great egret, so they would stop wearing them on their heads. 1941, radar signal is generated by a flock of gannets. So this is the first time, although radar technology had been around since the late 1800s, this is the first time that they passed. Does that make sense? That it clicked, that they could detect birds on radar. So also in 1941, mist nets are introduced, and they were in Japan, and they're silk nets, and they still use them today. So it's still a way that they ban birds, is they use these nets. In 1952, the first continent-wide snapshot of migration patterns using telescopes. Okay, so they didn't have cell phones. So all of this has to be coordinated, no social media, before social media and cell phones. So to coordinate something like that had to be a monumental feat in itself. In 2010, Cornell Labs eBird launches. So what happened in 2007? We had that huge technology boom. Cell phones suddenly became attached to our hand. That sort of thing happened. Well, they took that technology and they put it into eBird. eBird is an app you can put on your cell phone or on your computer, but it works better on your phone because it's meant to be mobile. And it put the information of birding in birders' hands physically in the field, and it's constantly evolving and improving. And if you guys don't know, is everyone familiar with eBird? So it's a free app. It's offered by Cornell Labs. It's got that little bird right there. It says Merlin Bird ID. So you record the birds either by sight, photo, or sound. It's really good at identifying by sound. And you can log it. What's good about eBird is that you can log it when you take the information off that app, you can log it into eBird, and Cornell Labs can count the bird. So it has really helped strengthen their idea about what birds are where, and it's made it fun for us because it helps collect your bird lists. It keeps all that information for you. Everyone has their own account. but it has really moved bird conservation and getting people involved in citizen science in a way that I know that's negative, bad word, but it gets us involved in participating in the conservation and what's happening in your neighborhood with the birds. So 2012, MODIS Wildlife Tracking System, which is amazing, awesome, totally incredible, and we have it right here at the Gilbert Water Ranch. So we have 3 stations now in Arizona. I'm going to tell you about it in a minute. In 2018, Birdcast. Birdcast is radar technology that monitors birds as they migrate. And they have in 2018, they put it up for public viewing. So that it started in 1999, took them almost 10 years to perfect it. But now they have it pretty much, it's always a work in progress, but it works so that they can predict when birds are migrating. They don't know who exactly or what, but they know when birds are coming. And in 2020, a new space-based wildlife tracking system begins operations with receivers on the International Space Station. So they're tracking wildlife from space, guys. At least so far they are. All right, so the MODIS Wildlife Tracking System. So it is a program that went online, like I said, between 2012 and 2015. It's led by Bird Canada in growing partnership with a network of scientists, organizations on almost every continent. It uses small radio transmitters, which you can see on this bird right here, to track or nanotags to track migratory animals. So it doesn't only track birds, it tracks butterflies and it tracks bats as well. All digital data goes to one place. So what used to happen when they put those tags on a bird is they would have to catch that bird. They would have to download the information and then carry that information to another larger computer where they could input it into like the computer that puts all the information together. Now, with the MODIS tracking system, the bird is sending the information directly to the tower, and the tower every 3 days downloads all its information to the center brain. It optimizes research, conservation resources, collects data on hundreds of species simultaneously, birds, bats, butterflies, bees, tracks over 30,000 different animals, mostly birds, as of 2022. So I got my newest numbers. As of 2023, MODIS has 1,519 active receiver stations in 31 countries. There's 34,269 tags deployed, 31,307 tags deployed on birds. So subtract 34,000 from 31,000. 244 different bird species are now tagged and tracked through this MODIS system. I think that's pretty amazing. And we have one here, so this tower. So this is actually what it looks like. So you can see all the MODIS towers right here in the United States, down here into South America. That's what all those little yellow dots are. And then they're scattered that way. This is at the Gilbert Water Ranch, the riparian right there by the library. So if you go to the center of the park, I don't know if you guys, there's a restroom there. There's like all those, there's like 4 ponds. There's the filter system, there's the restroom. On the light tower is the MODIS system. And the MODIS system is all, like, it looks like a TV antenna, those old TV antennas that we had. So I think it's pretty cool. We had to work, well, I say we, but those of us in bird conservation, like the DRAS, Desert Rivers Audubon Society, had to work for years because it costs about $3,000. So you have to earn the money, then you have to get permission from all the various people, and then you have to work with Game and Fish, Arizona Game and Fish, and the Federal Wildlife Service to get that station put in there. So it's a pretty cool accomplishment, and I'm really excited about the information it's going to collect. All right, and this is Birdcast. And where do I click? Oh, there it goes. Right there, right, Kevin?
Yes.
All right. Pause. There it goes.
So that's right now?
That is we're going May 7th, May 8th. Yeah. And the lines moving through there are sunrise or sunset, depending on whether it's yellow or red. Isn't that the most amazing thing?
A lot of birds.
Yes, it is. At one point last year, I'm going to stop it now. At one point last year, there were over 1 billion birds above North America migrating at one time. So how this really works is, in the simplest forms, is that NOAA tracks weather, all right? So they actually are like tagging along with this radar system. So let's imagine that all the weather that could be happening over North America is over here in a pile of dirt, all right? And in that dirt is like gold, silver, copper, all that other stuff. So like when you've ever panned for gold, yeah? So you put a pile of dirt in here into the first shifter, and you have a second tray down below you. So you put the dirt in and you shake it like this, all right? And the weather is the weather molecules, what the NOAA wants, stays in the top shifter because it's like the gold and the silver chunks and the nuggets. That's what they want. They want the precipitation. They want to know the molecules that are moving in the air, all right? So they're doing the first sifting. They take this, and the leftovers is what Birdcast uses. They take another sifter, per se, and they sift out all the things that register on radar that are not an insect and not a bat, all right? And then they put that there, and then the guy who does the insects, he's going to come along and he's going to take whatever is left, he's going to sort out the insects, and then, or the bat guy, and then whatever's left is left for the bats to sort through. That's really how it works, except they're not doing it with dirt and sifters, they're doing it with computers. So it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Does that give you a picture of what's happening? So, and they learned so much from this. So there's flyways and types of migration. So there's flyways. We have the Pacific, Central, Mississippi, and Atlantic. And they're up there. So you can see where Arizona is, right here. So we actually cover 2 flyways. Actually, 3 flyways. No, 2. There's several different types of migration. So complete migration, which is most neotropical birds, they are complete migrators. They leave at a predictable time each year and return at about the same time. There's partial migrators, which are short distance, unpredictable migrators, which is eruptive behavior, and we talked about that when we talked about finches. And then there's birds that don't migrate. Birds are nomadic anyway, but because they don't migrate for over any sort of significant distance, they're considered non-migrators. So a complete migrator, which is what all 3 of our Orioles are, is if you imagine that, let's say there's a school, all right, and all the school children in a neighborhood from kindergarten to 8th grade get on one school bus at the same time, 7:15, all right, and they get on the bus and they go to the school. So when the children disperse, imagine those are the different species of birds going to their different breeding grounds. So they're at the area they want to be and they've dispersed, okay? Now at what, 3:15? They all gather up again, they get on the school bus, and they go back to their neighborhood. They get off the school bus and they go to their separate homes. That is a visual of complete migration. The birds, not necessarily, it seems to be like they do it all at the same time, but it's all an individual decision because they're all paying attention to their own clues. But they individually decide to get on the school bus or go to migration, and they end up in the same place. But that's a nice way to, an analogy to understand how complete migration works. Now the males go first, so let's say all the boys go in the first bus at 7 o'clock, and the girls leave a day or two later, so maybe 7:15. They all end up at the same place, but they just leave at different times. So why do you think males go first?
They gotta go fight for their territory.
That's right. That's right. Especially with Orioles, it's all about location. And it's all about location. So whatever territory that male Oriole has picked out will depend on what girl he gets, or if he gets one at all. So first we're going to talk about the Bullock's Oriole. There he is. He's very handsome, isn't he? He's a beautiful bird. So it's a complete migrator, neotropic songbird. Actually, all three of our Orioles come from Mexico. They're further down in Mexico. So mid-April to mid-September. I saw my first one on Wednesdays. It's a little late, but I'm sure they were here earlier. They're slim but sturdy songbird with a medium long tail. Sharply pointed bill. The color ranges from lemon yellow to bright orange. Variations are a reflection of diet. So like when we talked with the finches, we talked about carotenoids and different foods. Berries and flowers provide kind of like flamingos and shrimp. The carotenoids, and that's what drives the brilliant colors in the purple finches or the house finches. And those that are orange and yellow have just eaten less or are not as good as finding all that stuff that makes them more brilliant in their red color. So it's the same thing with the Orioles. Males have a black back and a large white wing patch, black line through the eye and throat. Excuse me. They have a sweet sounding song. Male sings away from the nest. So we're gonna see if I can get it to play. There we go. Ah, where's our volume?
It's at the other end of the bar.
No, it's on the remote. Okay, we're gonna play it again. Play it again, Sam. Forgot that, didn't we? We were so busy this morning that.
There we go.
There we go. Ignore the geese. That's not what you're supposed to be listening to. There we go. All right. It gives you an idea of what you might be hearing. All right. So here's the female. So females are yellowish orange head and tail with a grayish black, whitish belly, and white wing bars. Female sings prolifically near the nest. So she sings more often than he does. And probably a different song, totally different notes. And you know, they don't winter together either. You know that? Neotropical birds, the males hang out in one habitat, females hang out in another habitat because they like to eat different things. They like their space. Everybody, you know, they just, different elevations. And yeah, so they do that. Well, female birds are are complex, incredibly complex. I mean, that's a whole nother talk. If you think about what that mom bird has to do, especially if she's a migrator, she needs all that time to rest up, to build up her not only immune system, but absorb all the minerals and vitamins and things that she needs to produce eggs, because that all comes from her. She creates the egg, the shell, everything about that. And so yeah, she needs her recovery time. Female builds a pendulum nest. I tried to get pictures of a pendulum nest, 10 to 25 feet above the ground. So it's kind of like a swing. Some have more of a swing than others. Both birds are nimble canopy gleaners, hopping from branch to branch, searching for insects, nectar, and fruit. So riparian areas, you'll find them in riparian areas, open woodlands, including urban parks with large trees. And the eggs are pale bluish to grayish white, splotched with purple brownish lines. Okay. Females, every female egg is individual. In other words, this Bullock's Oriole female is not going to lay, it may be blue or gray, but she's not going to lay the same splotches. They all have individual splotches. You know why? I know why. So they can tell their eggs apart. If they all laid the same egg, if all their eggs looked identical, then how is she going to know where her kids are? She's got to individualize them, right? At least to her, so that she can recognize them. Okay, did I not just blow your mind?
All name tags.
I mean, I just find birds amazing. So here's their range. So this Oriole spends the winter in western Mexico and coastal Southern California. It's a nice place to hang out. Bullock's Oriole is a long-distance migrant, and you can see it's a long-distance migrant because of how far it goes. So, in breeding. It's very adaptable. It is not really one of those migrants that are endangered because it is so adaptable. All birds are threatened, but it's not declining. 90% of all night migrants fly 6,000 feet, below 6,000 feet, but above 2,000 feet. So I thought that was interesting because of its long flight. Passerine songbirds fly at night, so it's flying at night between those altitudes. And birds fly faster on spring migration than in the fall migration, traveling 200 to 500 miles per day. So I don't know what would drive a Bullock's Oriole, really think about it, to go all the way up to like British Columbia, because the map cuts it off. It does go that far. Unless it's in its DNA to do that. Why? Why fly all that way? When, you know, Arizona's pretty cool. It's right here. Obviously, they do spend a lot of time here. So the Scots Oriole.
Would it be the food that might be different?
I'm sorry?
Maybe the food would be different?
Yeah, that's when I don't know. So I know with hummingbirds that their migrations, they're the first birds that they're watching that migrations are being stilted. Hummingbirds are choosing, the rufous in particular is choosing not to go all the way to Alaska. Well, hello, it's 3,000 miles. It's finding other habitat. But the Bullock's Oriole, maybe it's because it's so many of them and competition and space just moves them up. Hummingbirds also usually, so a generation is each clutch. So each brood is a generation of birds. So hummingbirds are evolving faster on average than most birds. So if a mom decides that a rufous mom meets a rufous male and they're hanging out in the Rocky Mountains, let's say in Colorado, and she says, okay, this works, instead of going all the way to Alaska, they work. Those babies don't know to go to Alaska. They only know to go from Colorado, where they were born, to Mexico. So that's how the pattern starts. And then if she's successful with two, she's going to have another one. They usually do have two. Or at least try to have 4 babies per. Then she has already learned things from her first group about being in Colorado because she didn't go to Alaska, and she's going to pass that on to her second group in there. So now you have 4 hummingbirds that are Rufuses that are going to come back to Colorado to breed, not go all the way to Alaska. So I don't know if that's true with the Orioles. I just found it really interesting that they went all the way up there. That's a long flight, and because they could choose all along that range to not. So it's a question that's out there. Yeah, but it could be food. Whatever drives them is what. Okay, so this one, Scott's Oriole, is large and slender with a thin, slightly curved, pointed bill. Males have black back, head, breast, and lemon yellow underpants. I like that word. Shows 1 white wing bar plus yellow shoulder. The yellow shoulder is bordered in white, which I think that's this right. This is a wing bar right there, so the shoulder is outlined in white. It's a gifted and frequent songster, resides in the high desert surrounding mountain slopes, which is, I've only seen the Scott's Oriole in Boyce Thompson. So, eats invertebrates, nectar, cactus fruit, and other fruits and lizards. So, I thought, loves tall yucca, palm trees, junipers, pinyon pines, agave, and ocotillo flowers. In the winter, this bird preys on monarch butterflies on their wintering grounds in Mexico. I thought that was very interesting. So it picks through to find the least noxious tasting of the butterflies. So first one, it tastes terrible. Second one, not so bad, but I'm not going to eat it. Third one, oh, this is okay, I can tolerate it, and I'll eat it. Who knew? I mean, because the whole thing about monarchs being not tasting good is so that they're not preyed on. But this bird's figured it out. All right, so the female Oriole, she's a soft lemony yellow with dusky streaking on back and wings. So that means that she's not solid. So that's important in identifying. White wing bars and shoulder markings, may have a dark head. These birds are monogamous through breeding season. They choose a mate by his territory choice, and this was interesting, I almost gave it away earlier, his waddling gait. So the male Scott's Oriole, they'll do a little flying around, you know how birds greet, and do the little singing, and she goes, oh, I'm interested. He'll land on the ground, and he'll walk for her. And if she likes the way he walks, I just thought that was so cute. I mean, that is, that's one of the things that sets the Scott's Oriole apart from them, but that's pretty cool. They make a basket-like nest of yucca leaf fibers, cactus fibers, grasses, 1 to 5 pale blue eggs that have dark spots and streaks to her own liking. This one in particular is in decline due to habitat destruction and degradation of breeding and wintering sites. So because it's not doing what the Bullock's Oriole is doing, is surveying that whole territory. It's not being, it's just not programmed to be that adaptable, so it hasn't expanded its range. So it's creating issues for them. All right. And here's its range. So you can see it doesn't go it goes to the top of Utah and that's it. So it's a medium distant migrant. United States populations migrate to Mexico or Southern California because you can see that, some populations in central Mexico are non-migratory. And the orange is the summer breeding range, purple is the year-round range.
What's going on in that white patch right in the middle?
They're not there.
They just don't, that area is just.
I don't know. What's there between Arizona and, what is that, Nevada? Maybe there's no plants. I mean, it doesn't like shrubs. These birds need tall trees and plant fibers to make their nests in. Here's a cool tip. That weaving that they do to make their nests, okay, it's not instinctive. They have to learn it. So they have, yes. So young males and female birds who aren't breeding, but they're migrating anyway, they migrate with adults who are breeding, and they watch them build the nest. And that is a problem with captive birds, especially in zoos, because they have captive birds that haven't learned how to make the nests. And as hard as they try to teach them themselves or show them videos of birds of their kind making nests, they don't get it.
Do both birds, male and female, build the nest?
With the bullock's oriole, I believe he helps in collecting materials, but with the hooded oriole and the Scots oriole, she does it. She's very much her own home construction crew. She's gonna like it. She picks where it is, where it goes. She's very much in charge of all the decorating. So he just brings the material. Yeah. Hey, she's the one who's gonna spend a lot of time in it, you know? All right, hooded oriole. So this one in particular is probably the one that we'll see the most often, especially if you live in the East Valley, because it really likes our desert landscapes. It also can't help itself. It's the one you're going to find on the hummingbird feeders. So, and he's stunning. He's a beautiful bird. Long and slender with more delicate bodies than the other orioles, which is why it can hang on hummingbird feeders. Males are brilliant yellow with black throat that extends up around the eye. So it's called a hooded oriole because yellow provides the hood. White wing bar, only one. So the others had more than one, or had that fringe at the shoulder or a wider wing bar. That one just has the one wing bar. Song is chattering mix of notes and calls and mimics the Gila woodpecker and the ash-throated flycatcher. Aha. He's a little tricky there. He's acrobatic forager, spends a lot of time hanging upside down. Habitat is open, dry areas in the southwest with scattered trees. Winters in Mexico, and it eats spiders, invertebrates, caterpillars, fruit, nectar, loves hummingbird feeders. And I didn't play the Scots oriole, but I'm going to play this one. I forgot. Where's the little click? Here it is. So he doesn't really have a song. He just makes a lot of noise. All right. Oh, no, I turned you off. Sorry. All right, female hooded oriole. Females are olive yellow overall, grayer backs, unstreaked, and thin white wing bars. Makes a hanging basket nest of plant fibers and grasses. So I got it, that picture right there. So all the nests really, I didn't have a good picture of the Scots oriole, or was it the bullock's oriole? I don't remember, but they're all different. They all choose different materials, and they attach them different, they hang differently. Makes a hanging basket nest of plant fibers and grasses. Takes 3 to 6 days to make. Generally 20 feet above the ground, undersides of palms, especially under palm fronds, sycamores, and eucalyptus leaves. 6 days she works on that. All right, so here's their range. So hooded orioles expanded their range northward after people planted more palm trees around homes in suburban areas and parks. So they are adapting, and they like hummingbird feeders. So man, hooded orioles in Texas and eastern Mexico are flame orange. So there's something that they're eating in this area here that is changing their color slightly. In the U.S. and western Mexico, or the birds are bright yellow, something they don't have on our side. So either there's something over there or we're lacking something over here. I guess it could work either way. Small populations of these birds in Southern California and Arizona hang around all year. So that's what the blue is. So you can see down there in Baja California and the purple right here and right here. Those populations don't migrate. All right, so now we're at the destination. So how to attract these birds to your yard? So I can't stress enough about planting native plants, large full nectar blooms, decorative palms because they like to nest in palms, clean bird baths with fresh water, and you can add a mister because if you're dealing with a lot of sticky, you want to be clean. And they're dealing with a lot of sticky. So up there, that's yucca. That is yellow bells, saguaro, ocotillo. No, that is what's called sticky monkey. I don't know if anyone's familiar with that sort of plant. That's yellow bells. There's cactus flower and desert willow. So those are all, they're heavy nectar flowers, and they're more open. So they're tubular but more open. And the hooded oriole, I think it's the hooded oriole. No, it's the Scots oriole. I know, I'm going back. I'm sorry. The Scots oriole has a curved bill. Can you see it? Its bill is more curved than the other two, and the reason is so that that means that it can get foods that others can't. And that's also with nectar flowers. Back to where I was, sorry. Foods to offer to orioles. Sugar water in an oriole feeder, oranges halves and slices, grape jelly. So we have a bird jelly. It's probably better for you. It probably tastes just like grape jelly, except it doesn't have sugar in it. So it's probably better for us. Mealworms for the Bullock's oriole because they will eat mealworms. And then bark butterbits. Since they're insect eaters and the Bullock's oriole will eat mealworms, I figure it would be an easy transition to bark butterbits, which I can show you. We have them on the table back there. I can I'll go get them.
Oriole feeder too?
Yeah. Okay. So as you can see in the pictures, Oriole feeder. It gives you space for orange slices, jelly, and then there's nectar in there. Also, Oriole feeder works great if you like to keep Gila woodpeckers off your hummingbird feeder. If you give them their own, they will leave it alone.
But they're so funny.
They are.
One thing,
It has a wider perch because they're a bigger bird. This is actually a Baltimore Oriole because WBU thinks there's only one. They're East Coast, and so they always just have the one Oriole.
one thing years ago, when I actually had things in my backyard, the Orioles and the Gila woodpeckers would not touch the Oriole feeder. They followed the hummingbirds.
Yeah, it's because it's by association. Yeah.
The hummingbirds didn't care about their feeder.
The hummingbird, would it go to the Oriole feeder? Oh, that's interesting. So these are mealworms. These are free dries. If you want to make them look real, you can add a little virgin olive oil to it, virgin olive oil to it. And it makes them kind of shiny in the light, makes them more attractive. birds, but this is bark butterbits. I don't think it would be a hard transition, especially for the Bullock's Oriole, to go to bark butterbits. Especially if you put it in an orange container, which we have. All right, so what can we do to help these birds on their journeys? So we can protect our windows. So the number one killer of birds is window strikes. Number one. Number two, keep cats indoors. Offer supplementary foods. Offer clean water. Turn off your outdoor lights at night. I can't tell you how important that is. Well, I can. I'm telling you it's important, but I'm not sure if it resonates. Because it interferes with their ability to navigate by the stars. So the darker our environment is on Earth, the more likely they are to see the stars. And when they're attracted to lights that are down on the ground, that's when they get introduced to an environment that they might not understand. Like they're coming from, we don't know where they're coming from actually in Mexico. They couldn't not be around any houses that have windows. And then they don't understand what a window is, or cars, or cats. They don't, so it just introduces them to something that is unsafe.
Not much we can do about that living in Mesa.
No, I know, yeah. Participate in eBird counts and support local wildlife, bird conservation. And so those are things we can do to help. And for those of you, there are some of us, I know there's some in the audience, she's not here. There's always a gentleman who takes a picture of my resources. That's what I read, that's where I got my information. If you guys like podcasts, there's a really cool podcast out there. It's done by Bird Note. It's called Bring Birds Back. They're in season 8 right now. They only do, I don't know, maybe 8 episodes a season, but it's Bird Note is Cornell Labs, and you can't get better bird information. And they're not boring. It's really interesting. And it's not long. It's not like you're only committing, I don't know, 28 minutes at the most to listening. Not Bring Birds Back. Yeah. Yeah. So I listen to it when I'm doing something boring, like putting my makeup on or dusting, something like that. So, any questions? Yes.
If we want to have a feeder, I guess we're talking either one of those hanging feeders. Does it need to be away from the tree, hanging from the eaves of the house, shade, sun,
Oriole feeder?
Oriole feeder?
I wouldn't put it in the sun because you have nectar, the sugar water in there, and it's going to ferment faster if it's heated in the sun. I would keep it partial shade, partial sun. And you have to remember that even though it's an Oriole feeder, once it hits 100 like now, you have to change that out every day. Otherwise you get mold and all that stuff that you're killing the bird instead of providing it with nourishment. Anything else? Really, there's a lot up here. Yes.
I have a question. So, when you want to attract like those, if you want to attract those kind of birds, it's just I'm kind of like doubtful. So, like, where do you put it? And it's just because there's like a lot of doves everywhere in our area. So I'm just wondering like which bird feeders will be best to make the doves stop showing up so much and like trying to eat the food, because then it kind of scares them.
Oh. They're not going to be So your doves aren't going to be attracted to an Oriole feeder. No.
I feel like they'll still try.
I don't think so. They're seed eaters. So they're not at all. Okay, take that back. You have the white-winged dove.
Yeah, all different doves show up for me.
The white-winged dove may be interested in the jelly or the orange. It's not going to be interested in the nectar. So
Kind of like
I think you'd be pretty safe. Try it without the feeder
Do you
first.
put the feeder close to a tree, or is it fine in just a regular open space arch, a bird hanger?
I think they're going to find it wherever you put it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Let me get your. So everyone has. So I have little goodie bags for everybody. And so we're very excited because we've come up with our own trading card. So every month we're going to have a different bird. So you guys are the first ones to get a card. And we'll send out an email about our, I know, we're so,
We can just keep one.
we're,
He and I will share.
okay, we're pretty, you got one? Okay,
Make sure there's enough. We'll just make sure there's enough.
We'll just pass them down.
okay. Yeah, we think we're pretty cool. Actually, I can't take credit for it. Kevin designed the card.
So you recommend no solar lights on the ground either? Or minimize?
Minimize. I'm more concerned about like porch lights and all those party lights that people leave on all night. Here you guys go.
Thank you. And then thank you very much, Cheryl.
Oh, you're welcome. Everybody got a bag? Okay. So in here,
Yeah, there's a lot to do. It'd be a fun weekend thing to do. Go up there. We should.
you have our new nesting blend. So don't freak out. It's got mealworms in it. It's supposed to. All right. So if there aren't any more questions, that's all I got.
Are there any other colleges besides Cornell that do bird research, or is Cornell just like the
They-
gold standard?
They are the gold standard.
Sure.
Actually, I don't think there's anyone who does a better job at bird research. They fund a lot of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there any bird specials that you recommend?
Specials? What do you mean?
Like documentary kinds of things that are out there?
There's one on Netflix right now that is Dancing with Birds, and it's all about the birds of paradise.
Yeah.
Yeah, we watched that one.
There's several PBS nature ones. So if I tell you Hummingbirds of Hollywood, oh my gosh, that is, yes, it's the best 53 minutes of a lifetime. It just is really good. There's one out there that is The Summer of the Osprey. These are all PBS nature. Yeah, and that's another good one.
Happy Feet.
Yeah, you can get those. The Osprey one might be available at the library, the Southeast Regional Library. But I think you might be able to find them still if you went to PBS Nature and streamed them. Oh, how do you feel about pigeons? Because they have one that's called the Pigeon Hustle on PBS Nature. It makes you think of pigeons